The siren wailed like a banshee through the midnight streets of Brooklyn. But it was the explosion that ripped the world apart. A fireball blooming in the skeletal frame of the abandoned warehouse, swallowing James whole. I stood frozen on the curb, my heart slamming against my ribs, as the acrid smoke clawed at my throat, carrying with it the faint, impossible echo of his voice. "Chris, don't let go." Then silence, thicker than the ash settling on my skin, until the paramedics dragged me back, their gloved hands rough on my shoulders, whispering that he'd make it. But what if he didn't remember why? I never thought I'd be the one waiting in the sterile limbo of Kings County Hospital. Coffee gone cold in a styrofoam cup, the fluorescent lights buzzing like angry hornets overhead. Christopher Hale, 32-year-old freelance photographer with a lens that captured the grit of New York but couldn't focus on his own unraveling life. And James Whitaker, my secret, the firefighter who'd crashed into my world 2 years ago like a rogue wave off Coney Island. All broad shoulders and quiet intensity, his hazel eyes holding storms I wanted to drown in. We'd met at a dive bar in Williamsburg, the kind with peeling vinyl stools and jukebox tunes that smelled like stale beer and regret. I was nursing a whiskey after a shoot in the Bronx, framing shots of kids dodging bullets in playgrounds turned war zones. He slid onto the stool next to me, fresh off a shift, his turnout gear slung over one arm like a discarded skin. "You look like you could use a real drink," he'd said, his voice gravelly from shouting orders into the chaos. I laughed, too sharp, and shot back, "And you look like you pull heroes out of fires for fun." That was it, the spark. By closing time, we were tangled in the back seat of his truck, parked under the shadow of the Williamsburg Bridge, his calloused hands mapping my body like he was searching for hidden exits in a blaze. But secrets have a way of smoldering. James was deep in the closet, badge and all, a FDNY lieutenant with a fiancée he'd been stringing along since the academy, a woman named Sarah who baked apple pies for the station house and dreamed of white picket fences in Queens. "It's not forever," he'd murmur against my neck in the stolen hours we'd carve out in my Astoria loft, the city skyline mocking us through the fire escape. "Just until I figure it out." I'd nod, because loving him meant swallowing the lie, even as it burned. The call came at 2:17 a.m. A 3-alarm in Bushwick, an old textile factory turned squat for artists and addicts. James was first in, as always, his team trailing the hose lines into the inferno. I got the tip from a mutual friend, a bartender who knew too much, and raced over on my beat-up Vespa, camera slung around my neck like a lifeline. The flames roared orange against the November sky, devouring the night, and I snapped frames from the perimeter, shadowy figures in yellow Nomex dancing with death. Then the beam gave way, a thunderclap of timber and steel, and the world tilted. James vanished in the debris cloud, and I dropped to my knees, the shutter clicking uselessly as tears blurred the viewfinder. Hours later, in the ER's harsh glare, the doctor, a harried woman with a clipboard and no bedside manner, pulled me aside. "Amnesia," she said flatly, like it was just another chart note. "Traumatic brain injury from the collapse. He's stable, but his short-term memory's shot. Might come back in days, weeks, or not at all." I nodded, numb, as they wheeled him to recovery. Sarah arrived in a flurry of perfume and panic, her blonde waves disheveled, clutching a teddy bear from some station fundraiser. She hugged me like a brother-in-law, oblivious to the truth gnawing at my gut. "He's gonna be okay, right, Chris? Tell me he's gonna be okay. In his room, James lay like a fallen oak, for lines snaking across his chest, the monitors beeping a mechanical lullaby. His face, usually etched with that cocky half-smile, was slack, bruised along the jaw. I sat by the bed, Sarah on the other side, our hands hovering like ghosts. When his eyes fluttered open, hazel flecked with gold, even in the dim light, they scanned the room blankly, landing on her first. Sarah, his voice was a rasp, but it cracked her open. She sobbed, burying her face in his shoulder, and he patted her back awkwardly, like he'd forgotten how. Then his gaze shifted to me, and something flickered. Recognition? Confusion. Who? He started, but trailed off, brow furrowing. Sarah jumped in, all sunshine. That's Chris, your photographer buddy from the bar crawls. Remember? The one who always drags you into those crazy shoots. Lies layered like insulation. And I forced a grin, my throat tight. Hey, man. Welcome back to the land of the living. He nodded slowly, but as Sarah stepped out for coffee, insisting I stay, he needs his boys' talk. James's hand twitched under the sheet. His fingers brushed mine, a ghost of our midnight rituals, and he whispered, so low the monitors nearly drowned it. The bridge. You tasted like rain. My blood froze. Only I knew that, the night we first kissed. A downpour soaking us through, his mouth salty and desperate. He didn't remember me, but some buried part of him did, clawing through the fog. That whisper hung between us like smoke, thick and choking. I pulled back, heart hammering, as nurses bustled in with vitals checks. Rest up, James, I managed, voice steady as rebar. But as I fled the room, his eyes followed, searching, pleading, and I wondered if the fire had taken more than his memory. What if it had unearthed the truth we'd both buried? The days blurred into a haze of hospital jello and forced small talk. Sarah set up camp in the family lounge, coordinating visits from the engine company, big guys with soot-stained stories and bear hugs that smelled like diesel. I came when I could, slipping in during lunch rushes, my camera a prop to justify the hours. James was improving physically, the lacerations scabbing over, the concussion fog lifting enough for puzzles and bad TV. But the amnesia lingered, a thief in his skull, stealing chunks of the last 5 years. He remembered the academy, his rookie blaze in the Bronx, even Sarah's proposal under fireworks at the 4th on the East River. But the gaps yawned wide: promotions, close calls, and us. One afternoon, as rain lashed the windows like it had that first night, I found him alone, staring at a get-well card from the chief. Chris, he said, no hesitation now, the name fitting like an old glove. Sit. Talk to me. I perched on the vinyl chair, legs jittery. He propped up on elbows, wincing at the pull of stitches. Sarah says we're tight, you and me. Bar buddies, photo ops at the fires. But it feels like there's a dream I can't wake from. His eyes bored into mine, and I swallowed hard, the air heavy with unsaid sins. It's the meds, I lied smoothly, American as apple pie deception. They fuzz everything. You'll piece it together. But he leaned closer, voice dropping to that intimate timbre that once unraveled me. Last night, I dreamed of smoke and skin. Aloft in Astoria, fire escape creaking under weight. And a voice, yours, sang, stay, James. Just this once. The room spun. That was our code. Whispered after shifts when he'd sneak away from her bed to mine. The city lights painting us in neon confessions. I gripped the bed rail, knuckles white. Coincidence. Brain playing tricks. But he didn't buy it. His hand finding mine again, deliberate this time. Thumb tracing the vein like he was reading Braille. Tell me the truth, Chris. Why does it hurt here? He tapped his chest, over the heart monitor's steady pulse. Betrayal bloomed then, not from him, but from the lie we'd built our love on. Sarah burst in with lunch trays, oblivious, and I bolted, whispering back as I passed. Because some fires never go out. Outside, under the hospital's awning, I lit a cigarette, bad habit from wire service days, and watched the traffic snarl toward Manhattan. James was adrift in his own life, and I was the anchor he couldn't see. But those whispers, they were embers, threatening to ignite everything. I crushed the butt under my boot, resolve hardening like cooling slag. I'd protect him, even if it meant letting go. Or so I told myself, as the rain soaked through my jacket, tasting like regret. Rehab was a grind, a concrete bunker in the shadow of the Verrazano, where James relearned to walk without listing like a drunk on liberty. Sarah drove him daily, her Subaru packed with protein shakes and motivational podcasts. Tony Robbins droning about unlocking your potential, while James gripped the parallel bars, sweat beading on his forehead. I tagged along twice a week, claiming moral support for the crew, my Nikon capturing progress shots for the station's newsletter. Truth was, I couldn't stay away. Every strained step he took echoed our stolen runs along the East River, his laughter cutting through the wind as we'd collapse on benches, hands brushing accidentally. The amnesia ebbed in fits, flashes of a barbecue in Prospect Park, the sting of a bad tattoo from a Vegas bachelor party he swore he never took. But the intimate voids persisted, and with them, the whispers. Late one evening, after Sarah left for a Zumba class, her coping mechanism, all spandex and endorphins, I wheeled him to the garden terrace. The air was crisp, laced with salt from the harbor, and the city hummed distant, a beast sated for the night. He lit up, a habit I thought the department had beaten out of him, and exhaled slow, watching the smoke curl toward the stars. You know, Chris, I keep seeing this guy in my head. Not clear, like a negative in the darkroom. Lean build, camera always half-raised, like he's deciding whether to shoot or run. My pulse stuttered, but I played it cool, snapping a macro of a wilting rose. Sounds like half the fatigs in Brooklyn. We all look the same after a 12-pack. He chuckled, low and warm, the sound twisting like a knife. Nah. This one's different. He smells like developer fluid and bad decisions. And when we connect, it's like the world quiets. No sirens, no bells, just breath. The cigarette trembled in his fingers, and he turned, eyes locking on mine with that firefighter's intensity, the one that spotted embers before they flared. It's you, isn't it? In the dreams. The whispers. Denial died on my tongue. The terrace felt too exposed, the distant wail of an inbound ferry underscoring the risk. James, listen. But he cut me off, grabbing my wrist. Pull strong despite the therapy. Don't bullshit me. I've lost chunks of myself, but this feels real. Tell me what we were, past tense, like it was ash already. My chest caved, and the words spilled, halting at first, then a torrent. The bar, the truck, the loft. Nights when he'd slip from her arms to mine, promising soon like a prayer. The fear in his voice during pride marches we'd watch from afar, his hand clenching mine under the table at diners. He listened, face paling under the sodium lamps, processing like a rookie facing his first backdraft. Christ, Chris. All that time. And I let you carry it alone. Tears welled, unmanly in the FDNY code, but he didn't wipe them, let them track down his stubbled cheek. I cupped his face, thumb brushing the salt away, our foreheads touching in that sacred space we'd claimed. It was us against the world, Jay. Your world, mostly. His lips found mine then, tentative, tasting of tobacco and apology, and for a heartbeat, the amnesia cracked open, memories flooding back in a rush of heat and hunger. We broke apart at the squeak of the door, a nurse with meds, but the seed was planted, fragile as a seedling in cracked concrete. Driving home that night, Astoria's brownstones blurring past, I felt the pull of what-ifs. What if he remembered everything? What if Sarah found out? The betrayal loomed, not just his to her, but mine to myself, loving a man half given, half withheld. Sarah noticed the shift. Of course. Women like her had radar for fault lines. Over takeout Thai in the rehab cafeteria, pad CEW congealing on foam plates, she cornered me while James napped. He's different around you, Chris. Calmer. Grateful. Her blue eyes searched mine, guileless, and guilt gnawed deeper. Yeah, well, we've been through some scrapes, I hedged, chopsticks stabbing a shrimp like it owed me money. She smiled, sad around the edges. I know you two are close. Just don't let him push you away if things get rough. He needs anchors, not more ghosts. If only she knew the ghost was me, haunting her future. That night, James texted, first time since the accident. His thumbs clumsy on the screen. Can't sleep. The whispers are louder. Come tomorrow? I did. Every day after. Our sessions veering from PT to confessionals. He'd recall fragments. A handjob in the cab of his truck after a Mets game. The way I'd arch under him on threadbare sheets, moaning his name like a litany. Each revelation bound us tighter, but the chasm with Sarah widened. She planned discharge, a triumphant return to their split level in Bay Ridge, complete with ring shopping and vows renewed. He's mine, Chris, she'd say lightly, but her grip on his arm said possession. The climax brewed slow, like a nor'easter off the Atlantic. One crisp December morning, as snow dusted the rehab's paths, James cornered me in the weight room. Mirrors reflected our strained forms, him pumping iron, veins bulging like live wires, me spotting, close enough to feel his heat. I'm coming home tomorrow, he panted, racking the bar with a clang. To her. But this, he gestured between us, sweat slicked and raw. It's not done. To feel it, even without the memories. I wanted to scream, to drag him into the locker room and claim him proper, but restraint was our old friend. Then fight for it, Jay. Or let me go clean. His face crumpled, and he pulled me into a bare hug, the kind that crushed air from lungs but filled voids in souls. I can't lose you again, but as we parted, his phone buzzed, Sarah, with balloons and a welcome home banner. The noose tightened. That evening, alone in my loft, I pored over old prints. Us at a rooftop party in Bushwick, his arm slung casual around my waist. a candid of him asleep post-love, lashes fanned like soot. The whispers echoed in my head, his voice a phantom limb. Betrayal wasn't just his secret. It was mine, for staying silent too long. I grabbed my keys, headed to Bay Ridge uninvited, the Brooklyn Queens Expressway a ribbon of regret under sodium glow. What I found there would shatter us all. The split level glowed like a Christmas card, twinkle lights strung along the gingerbread trim, Sarah's handiwork turning domesticity into a weapon. I parked curbside, engine ticking cool in the chill, and watched through the bay window, James on the couch, her perched beside, a photo album splayed open like evidence. Laughter floated out, tinny through the glass, reminiscing the good times, the ones without me. My fist hovered over the bell, then dropped. Cowardice, thy name is Christopher. But fate, that capricious bitch, intervened. As I turned to slink away, the door swung wide, James, in sweatpants and a faded Mets tee, spotting me like a hawk on thermal. Chris, what the, get in here. His voice was urgent, laced with that post-fire adrenaline, and he yanked me inside before Sarah could blink from the kitchen, where pots clanged like alarm bells. The living room smelled of cinnamon and varnish, family photos lining the mantel, him in cap and gown, her in a sundress at some vineyard upstate. It was a shrine to the life he'd half-lived, and I felt like an intruder, my docs scuffing the Berber. Bad timing, I muttered, but his hand on my elbow steered me to the den, a cramped space with a desk piled high in blueprints, his side hustle, architectural drafting for extra cash. Talk, he demanded, closing the French doors with a soft click. Moonlight slanted through slats, striping his face in accusation. You've been dodging me since rehab. Those texts, radio silence. What's eating you? Paced, the room too small for the storm in my chest. You, James. You're eating me. Coming back here, playing house, it's killing me slow. His jaw tightened, that stubborn set I'd kissed away 100 times. I have to, Chris. For appearances. The department, the family, Dad's old school. Ma's got the rosary beads ready for grandkids. But you know it's you. The whispers don't lie. He stepped close, breath mingling, and I could almost taste the risk, his cologne, her pot roast simmering nearby. Then end it, I hissed, backing against the desk, papers crinkling under my ass. Tell her. Come out. Or bury us proper. The words were knives, self-inflicted, but necessary. His eyes darkened, hurt flashing like muzzle flare. You think it's that easy? One press conference. And poof. Career down the tubes? The guy's ribbing me till I snap. He raked hands through his hair, the scar from the beam a pink crescent at his temple. I love you. Damn it. But this life's a tinderbox. Love. There it was, spoken plain, no qualifiers. I buckled my knees, and I surged forward, crashing our mouths together, desperate, devouring, all the pent-up ache pouring out. He groaned into it, hands fisting my shirt, lifting me onto the desk as blueprints scattered like fallen leaves. We moved like we remembered, urgent, unscripted, his hips grinding against mine in that rhythm honed by too many quickies in too many shadows. Jay, I gasped, nails digging into his shoulders. We can't, but we did, until footsteps echoed in the hall, Sarah calling for dessert. We sprang apart, disheveled, Him zipping fly while I smoothed hair, hearts jackhammering. She poked her head in, brow arched. Everything okay? You two plotting world domination. James forced a laugh, arm draping casual over my shoulders, bro-code camouflage. Just shop talk, babe. Chris is scouting a calendar shoot for the house. She bought it, bless her denial, and we migrated to the table. Pecan pie sliced generous, coffee steaming black. Conversation flowed easy on the surface, firehouse pranks. My latest gig shooting a hip-hop doc in the projects, but undercurrents swirled. James's foot nudged mine, a Morse code of possession. Sarah's gaze lingered, probing the edges. By pie's end, she cleared plates with a sigh. Stay the night, Chris. Guest rooms made up. Feels like old times, old times. The phrase hung, and I nodded, trapped in my own web. The guest room was a time capsule. Twin bed with chenille spread, posters of Springsteen concerts yellowing on walls. I tossed till dawn, the house creaking like a ship in swells, James's snores filtering through vents from the master suite. At 4 a.m., my door cracked, him, barefoot in boxers, ghosting in like contraband. Couldn't sleep, he whispered, sliding under covers, body fitting mine like puzzle lost and found. We didn't speak, just held on, his head on my chest, my fingers tracing the ladder of his spine. Whispers came then, soft against my skin, fragments of us, unfiltered by amnesia. The pier at midnight. You in that leather jacket, wind whipping your hair. I thought, this is it. This is home. Tears pricked my eyes, because home was fleeting, built on borrowed time. And now, I murmured. He lifted, I solemn. Still is. But I gotta fix this. Tomorrow. I swear. Dawn broke gray, snow flurrying past frosted panes, and he slipped away before light fully claimed the room. Breakfast was awkward theater. Sarah flipping pancakes, James nursing coffee, me scrolling emails on my phone to avoid the intimacy. Then the doorbell, FDNY chaplain, grim-faced, bearing news of an internal probe. The warehouse collapse, faulty intel from a tipster, whispers of arson cover-up. James's report, half remembered in the fog, was key and compromised. We piled into her car for the station house in Red Hook, the drive tense as a live wire. James gripped my knee in the back seat, out of her sight, a lifeline. At HQ, the brass grilled him gentle but firm. Details of entry, the beams groan, the exit blocked by flames. Amnesia blanked most, but under pressure, flashes returned, the whispers guiding him like inner GPS. There was a voice, he admitted, glancing my way, saying left. Now, saved my ass. Sarah beamed pride. I hid a shiver, knowing that voice was mine, shouted from the perimeter in blind terror. The probe dragged, but cleared him, hero status intact. Back home, euphoria reigned, beers cracked, toasts to second chances. Sarah kissed him deep, and jealousy coiled cold in my gut. I begged off early, claiming a deadline, but James followed to the porch, snow dusting his hair like dandruff from heaven. I meant it, Chris. Tomorrow, I tell her. His hug was fierce, promising. Trust me. I drove into the blizzard, wipers slapping rhythm, believing him. But trust is fragile as hoarfrost, and betrayal waits in the wings. The tomorrow, stretched into a week of blizzards blanketing Brooklyn in white silence. The city hunkered down like a prizefighter after a round. James texted sporadically, station drills, holiday shifts, Sarah's Yuletide frenzy with elf ears and spiked eggnog. I holed up in my loft, developing roles from the collapse. Ghostly figures in smoke, James's helmeted silhouette mid-leap into the maw. Each print emerged like a confession, inky truths on emulsion paper. Then, on a Thursday gray as gunmetal, my phone buzzed at noon. Her parents' cabin, Catskills. Need air. Meet me, 6 p.m. The Overlook. My heart lurched, our spot, a scenic pull-off where we'd parked summers past, making love to loons' cries and fireflies' morse. I called out of a fashion shoot in Soho, grabbed thermoses of Irish coffee, and hit the Taconic State Parkway, tires churning slush. The Overlook was deserted. Pines bowed under snow like mourners, the Hudson Valley a misty chasm below. His truck idled, exhaust puffing white dragons, and he emerged bundled in parka and beanie, waving me over. We climbed into the cab, heaters blasting, and for a moment, it was us again, no amnesia, no Sarah, just the road unspooling ahead. Ditched the family ski trip, he grinned, sheepish. Told her engine recall. Truth is, I needed this. We talked for hours, words tumbling like avalanches. His fears of coming out, the department's unspoken code. Don't ask, don't tell, unless you're the punchline. My resentment, festering like an untended burn. I waited 2 years, playing side piece while she got the ring box rehearsals. He winced, pulling me across the bench seat, our breaths fogging the glass. I know. And I'm done hiding. His kiss was slow burn, stoking embers to flame, hands roaming under wool to skin starved for touch. As dusk bled purple across the ridge, he pulled a velvet box from his pocket. Not hers, but a simple silver band, etched with coordinates, our first bar's latitude. For you, he said, voice thick. When I'm free, tears blurred my vision, and I slipped it on, cool metal warming to promise. We made plans, his talk with Sarah post-holidays, a quiet ceremony upstate, life rebuilt from the rubble. Elation carried me home, the ring a talisman against doubt. But doubt is a stalker, and it pounced Christmas Eve. A knock at midnight, Sarah, mascara streaked, clutching a bottle of Merlot like a grudge. We need to talk, Chris. About James. My stomach plummeted. She knew. We sat at my kitchen table, Formica scarred from too many solo suppers, the tree-eyed half-assed in the corner twinkling mockery. She'd found the texts, not ours, but old ones, unearthed from a backed-up phone during the storm's boredom. Incriminating fragments. Miss your fire from me, his burning for you reply. How long? She whispered, wine sloshing red as accusation. 2 years, I confessed, hating the smallness of it. Her face fractured, shock to sorrow to fury in waves. I thought. We were solid. Engaged next spring. House in the suburbs. She laughed bitter, a sound like breaking glass. But he's always had that look with you. The one that says home. I was the placeholder. No venom, just gutted truth. And it hollowed me. Betrayal's blade cuts both ways, hers from us, mine from complicity. What now? I asked, voice a thread. She drained her glass, eyes hardening steel. I'm telling him tonight. And you? Stay the hell away till it's sorted. She left in a swirl of snow, taillights fading red into whiteout, and I collapsed against the door, the ring biting into my palm. Whispers haunted then, not his, but mine. What have we done? Christmas morning dawned brittle, the city stirring slow under drifts. James called at 8, voice jubilant. Babe, come over? Sarah's out caroling. House to ourselves. I went, ring hidden, nerves electric. He greeted me at the door in ugly sweater and grin, pulling me into tinsel-scented embrace. Best gift? Waking up knowing it's real. We tumbled to the couch, hands eager, but mid-kiss, his phone erupted Sarah's ringtone. A cheery jingle bells turned dirge. He answered, face draining as her words spilled. Discovery, devastation, demands. James, we're done. Pack your shit. I'm staying with Mom. Click. He stared at the screen, world tilting anew, then turned to me, eyes wild. She knows. About us. Panic clawed his throat, and he bolted up, pacing like a caged wolf. The job. The guy's Christ. Chris, what v I done? I reached for him, anchor in the gale. You chose truth. Us. But doubt seeded, his pacing turned to packing, duffel zipping frantic. I need space. To think. The words landed like debris, and he was gone, truck roaring into the storm, leaving me amid wrapping paper carnage. The fallout cascaded, station gossip mill churning, Whitaker splitting cold feet, Sarah's friends circling like hyenas, me fielding voicemails from mutuals begging sides. James ghosted, texts unread, calls to VM. Desperation drove me to the firehouse on New Year's Eve, the bay alive with revelry, horns blaring, confetti cannons primed. He was there, nursing a beer amid the brass, face a mask of joviality. Jay, I said, pulling him to the apparatus floor, where rigs gleamed under halogens. Talk to me. He sagged against the ladder truck, breath beery. Can't, Chris. It's too much, the probe's reopening, brass sniffing for weakness. And Sarah? She's filing a complaint. Harassment angle if I push. Lies or leverage. His eyes evaded, and the whisper came, not intimate but icy. I think we rushed. The amnesia, it messed me up. What if this isn't me? Betrayal, sharp as shrapnel. The man who'd promised forever, crumbling under pressure, choosing safety over soul. So I'm the regret? My voice cracked, and he flinched. No, just time. He walked away, back to the party, laughter echoing hollow. I fled into the night, fireworks bursting overhead like false hopes, the ring heavy as lead. January thawed slow, the city shedding its white shroud for gray slush, mirroring the rot in my core. I threw myself into work, freelance gigs stacking like cordwood, a doc on queer elders in the village, portraits of drag queens mid-strut on Christopher Street. The lens became escape, framing others' truths while mine splintered. James's silence stretched, a void sucking light. Sarah blocked me on all fronts, her socials a blackout. Then, mid-month, a whisper not from him but fate. A tip from the bartender, that same Williamsburg sage. Your boys at the old spot. Rough shape, the old spot our pier, the one where Brooklyn met the bay. Rusted chains clinking like chains. I went at dusk, camera slung, heart armored in frost. He was there, silhouette against the oily water, bottle dangling from fingers, Jack Daniels, cheap burn for cheap pain. Snowmelt dripped from the pilings, and gulls wheeled overhead, scavengers sensing carrion. Knew you'd come, he slurred, not turning. I approached slow, boots crunching gravel. Heard you were circling the drain. Figured I'd throw a line. He laughed, hollow as the echo off warehouses. Lines cut, Chris. Been thinking maybe the fire took the best parts. The brave ones, his eyes, bloodshot, met mine hazel dulled to mud. Sarah's right. I led you on, half-man all the way. The words were self-flagellation, but they lashed me too, reopening wounds. Screw that, I snapped, grabbing the bottle, swigging deep. Fire down my throat, matching the one in my veins. You whispered truths in that hospital bed, Jay. Remembered us when nothing else stuck. That wasn't half, that was whole. He sagged against a bollard, head in hands. And now, the department's watching, counseling mandatory, whispers of psych eval. Dad called, quoted Leviticus like it's 1950. I can't be that guy. Climax crested then, not in screams but sobs, his wrenching from depths, shoulders shaking like aftershocks. I pulled him close, the pier our confessional, waves lapping judgment. You already are, I murmured, rocking him as salt mingled with sea spray. The guy who saves lives, loves fierce. Own it, or lose it all, he clung, confessions bubbling, the fear of empty bunks, the ache of unspoken at roll calls, the love that terrified most because it felt like home. We stayed till stars pricked the smog, trading swigs and stories, the time he pulled a kid from a tenement blaze, only to find me waiting with falafel wraps. My first gallery show, him in the crowd incognito, buying the print of us blurred in rain. Dawn crept, pink as renewal, and he straightened, resolve forging in the light. I'm done running. Therapy, coming out slow, but real. With you, the question hung, fragile as first light. Betrayal's sting faded, replaced by grace, humanity's quiet miracle, forgiveness in the falter. Always, I said, sealing it with a kiss. Not desperate, but deep, promising tomorrows. Months unspooled. James's announcement at the station, a speech halting but honest, met with awkward claps and backslaps from allies, stony silence from old guards. Sarah healed slow, their split amicable over coffee in neutral turf. Her parting gift a box of his things, topped with a note, find your fire. He moved into my loft. Fire escape our balcony throne. Nights tangled in sheets no longer stolen. The whispers evolved, not amnesia ghosts, but daily devotions. Coffee black? Murmured over sinks. Love you. Lensman against my neck at dawn. We fought, his overtime clashing my deadlines, old insecurities flaring like flare-ups, but made up fiercer, love tempered in trial. One summer eve, 2 years post-blaze, we stood on that same pier, clean now, rehabbed for tourists, but ours in memory. He dropped to knee, ring glinting, mine returned, upgraded with engraving, heard forever. Marry me, Chris, in the mess and the magic, tears, laughter, yes, sealing with cheers from passers-by, the city our witness. Life's no fairy tale, laced with bigots, barbs, and department politics, but we burned bright, human, flawed, unbreakable. In America's vast tapestry, we wove our thread, two men, forged in flame, whispering eternities only we could hear.